Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Erin Lee here. I'm so excited to get into this with you. I have been since 1991. I had a crazy lethal cancer diagnosis called non-Hodgkin's lymphoblastic lymphoma, and very few people lived of that diagnosis back then. And I've just gone on. The doctor started calling me the miracle maker because I kept living. Every time they said I'd die, I went on to have 3 kids they swore would never happen. And what I learned back then regarding personal development, I've just gone on and taught it, coached it. I was doing coaching before it was vogue to call it coaching since the 90s, and I absolutely love it. So I've been sharing how to make miracles happen for decades now, and I love it. So today's topic is the frequency of faith, which is so huge. Faith is huge. And again, whether you think you can, if you think you can, you'll try, you'll give it an effort, you'll pretty much get it done, because if you think you could do it, more often than not, you'll get it done. And if you think you can't, you won't even try. Many people won't try. They'll hold themselves back and they give up on dreams. And I don't want that for you. So again, this week is about the frequency of faith. And I have my notes. Super excited to get into this. So, what if everything you've been praying for is already on its way, but it's waiting for you to believe it's possible? It's waiting for you, not for the doctors, not for your parents, not for your spouse, not for your friends, not for anybody else on the planet to believe that it's possible. That's up to you. And I'm so excited to get into this. So, the first talking point is faith and fear both ask you to believe in something you can't see, right? You can't see faith and you can't see fear. But a lot of times, most people on the planet are clinging to fear as opposed to faith in how they wake up in the morning, how they go about their day, what they're thinking about the majority of the time. And that's called autosuggestion. That's what you're dumping into the subconscious mind, as opposed to faith. And when you're living in faith and you have the enthusiasm and the optimism and you're aligned with God, and that's how miracles happen, right? So, okay, the difference is which direction your energy flows. Faith expands, fear contracts. Again, when you're in faith and you're optimistic and you're enthusiastic and your energy is expanding. You've been in the room with people when they're just excited and they're lit up about something and they're looking forward to getting something done. And whether it's going on a date, starting a new business, or getting their business to the next level, whatever it is, or looking forward to having kids, no matter what it is, when they have that good, excited energy, you can feel it and it lights up a room, right? Their energy is so expanded. And at the same time, you can feel somebody when they're in fear and they're in doubt and they have the resentment and the anger and the worry and the guilt and stress and all this other stuff. And it's like, it's so constricted. The energy is constricted. So you want to build the muscle of faith where your energy is just it's huge, it's growing, and it's filling the room, it's filling the world, because believe it or not, you get on the phone and somebody on the other side of the planet will feel your energy. When you're in that energy, they will feel it, and it's amazing. Okay, so the second bullet point is when you choose faith, you align with infinite intelligence. When you choose fear, you resist it. Think about it. When you choose faith and you're in alignment with God, you're unstoppable. Miracles start to happen as opposed to resisting it. You might accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. I truly believe it'll take you a lot longer than if you're in alignment with infinite intelligence, which is another word for God or another word for source, higher power, whatever it is that you want to call that. I say God just to keep it simple. And so when you're in alignment and you're working together with God and the universe to manifest, to create what it is that you want to create, because we are conscious creators. That's what we're here to do and to be conscious creators based on what we're thinking. That's why I'm doing this whole series. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right, because I really want to help you break through the I can't and just get in alignment and get into the flow of I can, because you will just create so much more in your life that you want. And so much of what you don't want going on in your life will dissipate because of the frequency of the faith that you're in. Okay, the frequency of faith is so powerful. And the universe can't deliver blessings to a frequency of doubt. Okay. Now, doubt, I say it all the time, is a dream crusher. Doubt is a dream crusher. Doubt is also, it's not the enemy. It's showing up to say, this is what, you've been telling me for a long time, that you, the subconscious mind, that you don't want to do this. So I'm showing up saying, what do you want me to do with this? I'm showing up as doubt because usually you say you want to be in fear. So now you want to go into faith. And here I am, you're the doubt. And then our job is to just constantly reiterate to doubt that, no, we don't want that anymore. We want to stand in the frequency of faith and create in an excited, in an optimistic, in an enthusiastic, in a loving way what it is that we want to create in this world for the highest good of all concerned. But the universe, if doubt's there, it pinches us off, it blocks it, it resists it. So we want to do the work, the personal development work, the self-developing on breaking down the doubt so that the universe can get to work on helping you create what it is, co-create with you on what it is that you'd like to do, right? That vision, that North Star. Okay, the second talking point is faith is a muscle, not a mood. I love that. Faith is a muscle, not a mood. You don't feel faith first. You practice it until it becomes your default. And it's true, because like I said, we're wired, and it could be generational. We're wired to, after we're born and all of a sudden the world starts dumping in the self-limiting beliefs, you know, um, in our subconscious mind, we're wired to go into the doubt. We're wired to go into the fear as opposed to automatically going to faith. That's why most people, 99% of the people on the planet are running 95% of their day on their subconscious mind. And the majority of those people have a paradigm of fear, of doubt, of not worthy, not good enough, can't do it, can't. For whatever reason, their excuses, as opposed to their norm, the muscle that they built is faith. Very few people have built that muscle. And when you do that, your world opens up, things become a lot easier for you. Things become more simple. You're swimming downstream as opposed to upstream where you're swimming against the tide, like we talked about last week. And it's a struggle. And most people are living in suffering because it's that lower frequency, that lower vibrational frequency, as opposed to faith, which is a high vibration, like love, joy, inner peace, faith, enlightenment, like that's so high vibe. So you will attract you the people, place, and things that will just help you to create what it is that you want. But if we're not in alignment with infinite intelligence in the universe, then we're resisting it. And I want to help you see the difference so you can shift and start doing the work, which is meditating and journaling and being aware of the thoughts that you're thinking. It's the one thing you have full control over. What you do with the thoughts when they enter your head, which is so powerful. So when you become aware of a negative thought entering, you can say, cancel that, cancel that. Now you're intentional about what it is that you're thinking and speaking. And then you can think of a higher vibrational thought, a thought that's in faith, and start speaking into that and watch your energy shift. And when your energy shifts, the energy around the people around you start to shift. It's incredible. Okay. Every time you trust without evidence, you strengthen your spiritual resistance. So it's not a matter of like, I'll believe it when I see it, right? You need to see the evidence and then you'll believe it. When you can shift that into I believe, so then I'll say it. I spoke on stage in Arizona a year ago, and I was talking about, people would say to me, "Do you believe in God?" I say, "I believe in God. Of course I believe in God." And then the word for me, it was like, "Of course I do." But the word belief for me over the last few years got to be weak when it came to my relationship with God and my belief and my faith, the frequency of faith in God. And it got to more of a I know God. I know that God is there. Just like, and I sit on stage, just like I know air is there. I don't believe there's air, right? I know that there's air. I'm taking deep breaths. I know that there's air. I don't hope that air is going to be there and then wait to see the evidence of air and then, okay, I'm not going to pass out. Like, that's not how my faith in God works. I know that God is there. The doctors call me the miracle maker, and so many other people have called me the miracle maker, and I've helped other people have miracles in their lives. So many of my clients and my friends and so many people, family, have had miracles happen in their lives. So I do want you to try to just first become aware of it and then decide to make the shift. Because when you make a decision, it gets rid of the doubt. One of my favorite lines in Think and Grow Rich. I love this book. It's always right here. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right? One of my favorite lines in that book is indecision leads to self-doubt and it's slow and insidious, right? When you don't make a decision, all of a sudden you go into self-doubt and then bam, you're in fear. But it always stems back to having not made a decision and then you're in doubt. So the way to get out of doubt is step into the frequency of faith. And there's an expression, go big or go home, or jump and grow wings on the way down, or it just means step out into the unknown. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Have faith because all the unknown is an unraveling and unveiling of more of who you are. That's all it is. You're learning more about you in the unknown, and so find comfort in that and peace in that. Okay. And then the stronger your faith, the faster your manifestations unfold. So we just talked about that. Talking point 3, faith lives in surrender, not control. When you can just let go as opposed to like clinging to something and micromanaging and trying to make it happen your way. And when you can just surrender, it's so freeing. Again, you go from being in suffering because it's not happening the way you want it to happen. You don't see the evidence of it yet, and you're in fear and that solo vibe, and that's suffering. But when you can surrender, then all of a sudden everything opens up and things start to be able to come to you because you loosened your grip from the way things are supposed to happen. So that's what we're going to talk about here. First bullet point is control stems from scarcity. Faith stems from certainty. All right. So control stems from scarcity. When you're in fear, lack, and scarcity, you want to micromanage and you want to control everything because you feel like more is not going to come to you because you're not in faith, right? You're in fear. You're not in faith. But when you're in faith, you're certain. You have this level of certainty, of clarity that if I plant the seeds, I trust, again, I use the word God. You could say higher power, source, whatever you use. I trust that God will water those seeds. As long as we're taking the action, which is super important, take the action, plant the seeds every day, and then God will water those seeds. And then before you know it, there's the harvest, right? And then you've created what it is that you want to create. And then the second bullet point is when you release the how, the universe delivers the when and who. Okay, we just said that. When you release the how, you will get the when and the who. There's an expression, F the how. Okay, F the how. I try to keep it G rated, so I say, forget the how. It's none of our business to know how it's going to happen. It's not. So a lot of people, again, they try to micromanage how it's going to work and it's got to look like this and it's got to happen this way. And what if you wanted something amazing? What if you wanted, I'm going to make a car and you wanted a Lamborghini and you were like, okay, I got to save up this amount of money. I got to go to work. And after a couple of this amount of years, I'll put aside this amount of money and then it's got to happen. It's got to happen this way. And then what if you just let go? You lived responsibly, but you let go and you surrendered how it was going to happen. And you were open to that and many other ways that it could happen because you're living in the frequency of faith. It could come to you in any way. Somebody could say, I got really sick and tired of this. I really like you and I'd like for you to have it. Could you take this off my hand? Could you take this Lamborghini off my hands for me, please? So, but you don't know how it's going to happen. And again, it's none of our business to know how that ultimate vision, how that North Star is supposed to happen, as long as you're planting seeds and you're taking the action steps, surrender, let go of the how, and let the who show up. Let the people, places, and things show up because they're showing up. It's not a coincidence. You didn't just run into so and so. Oh my God, what a coincidence. So and so. I had a conversation with them. They introduced me to this person, and now I'm another step closer to my goal. There's no such thing as coincidences. It's by divine order and divine timing. And again, it's letting go of the how and living in the frequency of faith. And letting go isn't giving up, it's allowing divine timing to do its job. You're not giving up by letting go of control. You have trust in God, trust in yourself, and trust in the process. Have faith in the process, trust the process. A lot of times we want to rush it, we want to hurry up and we want it done as of yesterday, and it's not happening. But everything has a divine order and divine timing. And of course, part of the human condition, part of the human element is that we want things and we want them now. But when you live in faith and you develop the patience and you understand with clarity as opposed to chaos that things are happening for you all the time, all day, every day, and we're manifesting and creating things based on what we're thinking, speaking, and acting all day, every day, it will come to us in exactly the time it's supposed to come to us. Not when we think it's supposed to come to us. When you have faith, it'll come to you at the right time. Okay. And you guys know my story, yeah, with the cancer. I didn't have evidence that I was going to heal. Again, I said in the beginning of this recording, I said they didn't very few people lived of what I had, the non-Hodgkin's lymphoblastic lymphoma in 1991. Very few people. So there was no evidence. They just basically threw the kitchen sink at you, and the doses I was getting at North Shore at Sloan Kettering here in Manhattan were beyond the local cancer hospital's legal limits. So, because I would go to the local cancer hospital to save me a trip into Manhattan, and they would be shocked and tell me that it was literally beyond their legal limits. So they did the best they could. It was new and they just threw everything at you and hoped it would work. And they would tell me so many times that I was going to die. And they've called my parents to come say goodbye, 25 years old in a room. And I started reading all the books and I started understanding a little bit more about how this world works and then how we work in this world, the spirit, the laws, the irrefutable spiritual universal laws of how the world works and how we work in the world. And I told them, like, get out of my room because you didn't tell me about meditation and visualization and affirmations and all these things that we could do for ourselves, journaling and everything else. There was a lot of power that I had within me that nobody talked about. So I had to take my personal power back. I had to have the frequency of faith within myself. My faith in God and my faith in everything else was so outside of me. It was up in the sky somewhere. Everything was outer world based. Everything was outside of me. And then I learned in that short amount of time, because they told me if a chemo didn't work as fast as the tumor was growing, I'd be dead in a month, in 30 days. So I did a lot of work really quick. I was very open-minded and I surrendered. And there was a lot of stuff that I did that I share with my clients and how to make these things happen. But all of a sudden I kept living every time they said I die. And after the 2.5 year crazy protocol when this was going on, I went on to have 3 kids that they swore would never happen. And it was just miracle after miracle after miracle. And the doctors at Sloan Kettering started having their patients call me at home and they nicknamed me the miracle maker because not only did I do well, but their patients that I spoke to would go back and they'd have color in their face. They weren't getting sick as much. And it was amazing. And I've been doing it ever since. So I love meeting people that are in chaos, and just overwhelmed. It doesn't have to just be cancer. It could just be anything in life in this world today with everything going on, because to help you go from that feeling of overwhelm and distraction and confusion and chaos to focused and fearless and excited about your life personally and professionally, helping you get in alignment with who you truly are and your purpose in this world and with regard to your career and all these other things. It's so fun for me. Like, it's not even work. I love doing this. One of my clients actually, this just recently, she was so worried she was going to lose her business. And from implementing everything that we did, she thought she was going to lose everything. If she lost a business, she thought she was going to lose everything. But implementing what it is that we just that I spoke about today to share with you, for you to implement it as well. For her whole life, her whole business turned around quickly in a few months, and she's doing absolutely amazing. So I want you guys, if you, again, it goes back to if you think you can or think you can't, you're right. I really want you to sit down and in 3 columns, in the first column, write down everything that you want. Just do a brain dump. Everything that you want, right? And nothing's holding you back, right? Just everything that you want beyond your wildest dreams. People aren't holding you back, places, money, time, nothing's holding you back. The second column, the limiting beliefs. Not enough money, not enough time. I'm a single mom, single dad, kids, this, that, whatever. Not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy, like whatever it is, put it in the second column. In the third column, I want you to write down how you would feel, right, with the frequency of faith, how you would feel if you accomplished everything in column 1 and got rid of column 2. How would you feel? What is that feeling? You close your eyes and you see in your mind's eye and your imagination all of what it is that you accomplished in that column 1 and got rid of column 2. How would you feel? And do your best to write that down, how you would feel. And I want you to bring that alive within your body. The body's the instrument of the mind. All right. So that's one of the exercises that I want you to do this week. And then also, I want you to write this sentence once a day for the week. Even when I can't see it, I trust it's working for me. Okay. So I want you to write that down until peace replaces panic or any kind of fear in your life. All right. So thank you for sharing this time with me. And if this was helpful, please hit subscribe. I would love that. Hit like and subscribe, share it with your family and your friends. And I would just yeah, and if you want to go deeper, I also have a course, the Life on Track course. You can check that out at thelifeontrackcourse.com. You can see more there. And for this week, I want you to have a magnificent week. Okay. And always remember, live onward and upward.